A very good morning and welcome to this edition of Morning Cafe. It is the 1st of August 2024. Mwezi mpya ishaanza. Watu wamelipwa, watu wanafurahia. I hope unafurahia mahali uko. How hot is the coffee where you are? My name is Freddy Ndimuli.
I'm used to Stanley Yoringita. Happy new month to you. And it is Junior Friday finally. Ile unasema wiki imeanza lakini wiki inaisha mwezi imeanza.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. This whole week nimekuwa nikiwaambia happy girlfriend's day lakini leo yes, among women,
Yeah.
to all your women friendships, happy women's day to you. In case hautaambiwa leo.
Stanley Yoringita, happy girlfriend's day.
Mwemu nichome yote. But anyway, quite a lot of conversations today. Things are going to be boiling nicely at around 8 a.m. This particular day. Professor Kithure Kindiki, Cabinet Secretary nominee for Interior, will be the first to appear before the Committee of Appointments in National Assembly.
Oh, yes.
And quite a lot of entry for both that particular committee as well as the cabinet.
Oh, yes.
The 2 years atakuwa na ulizo maswali ngumu for 2 hours.
Maswali mingi zaidi. Plus, something else that happened yesterday that's a big discussion, the fact that the court nullified the Finance Act of 2023-2024. So, Finance Act of 2023, meaning now that the President rejected Finance Bill 2024, and the Finance Act 2023 has been nullified by the courts. We go back to 2022. Okay.
Ile Uhuru bado.
We're back to Uhuru's administration.
Hey,
well,
interesting time.
That and a lot more. We'll be discussing that on State of the Nation with the usual Thursday panel, Robert Alai, Jerika Higan, Kiruga Dhuku, plus an inclusion of Patrick Osoi, political analyst. They will be in studio for that conversation. Do stand by for that and a lot more.
Into the headlines, things that will be forming that conversation are very quite a long headline.
Yes.
For the Standard. Na iko na mashilingi hapo, another Ruto tax law bites the dust.
So that bites the dust. But anyway, yes, so that's a nice headline on the front page of the Standard. And this is exactly what we are talking about. Yes. And what does it mean to you? We'll be looking at that later on. Four pilots who saved Moi's rule. I do not know why the Daily Nation has decided to go with matters, but I have an idea.
Yes.
This happened back in 1982. Yes.
On the 2nd of
August. Yes, 2nd of August. It was on a Monday. I remember because I was there.
Ilikuwa 2nd ama 1st?
Ilikuwa 2nd of August. Wewe haukua. Nisikize. Soma hapa vizuri.
Si ndio hii?
Ruto crisis as judges reject finance bill. That's the big headline on the People Daily. Yes.
And there it is, the People Daily. The Star eyes on Bunge's MPs vet cabinet nominees. These are the faces that you're going to be seeing today on your screens. As of 8 a.m., each of them 2 hours to tell us what is going to
be. 3 faces at least we're familiar with, yes. 2 more that we need to get familiar with going forward. The Deputy President still on the front page. Tukiangazia gazeti lingine, moto kwa Raila, joto kwa Ruto. And yesterday we saw a lot of things happening with the UDA party. Some goons went there and you're saying this dalliance with ODM inawafunza kitu, kuna kitu wamesoma.
Business Daily, motorists, top earners winners Finance Act 2023 falls.
Yes.
They're going with that conversation.
Very interesting. People should be happy. Yesterday I saw some arguments. People really didn't understand what had happened.
Yeah.
The implication of that court's decision. Across the border in Uganda.
Yes, the business people pale wanaambiwa waende plant pineapples. Anyway, they say strike deadlock. So first off, traders' government failed to agree on issues. Minister reads the Riot Act to traders. Traders count losses on day of action and a trip back to traders' grievances. So apparently they had a meeting yesterday evening, which was basically to chart a way forward after the traders in the capital city closed their shops due to a postponed meeting with the President Museveni, which did not yield much. The State Minister for Kampala, his first name is quite mouthful.
Just read that name. I was waiting for that.
Yofatogabye Kabuye. So the traders either reopen shops or go plant pineapples in
Chanamukaka.
Yes, Chanamukaka.
Remember, end up pande mananasi. Surely. Museveni had told people to go, if you want to go and strike, do it on a quiet Sunday. Go plant pineapples.
Wow.
All right. Still in Uganda on the New Vision 2026 polls, a new roadmap out. Elective positions increase to 140,000 plus. Wow. This is according to the Electoral Commission. So yes, even as Tanzania prepares for elections next year, Uganda still has one more. So it will be Rwanda 2024, Tanzania 2025, Uganda 2026, and then the big one, 2027. We come back home. Yes, that's
Uganda.
the new vision.
Kwenye gazeti la Mwananchi huko ni pale Tanzania, siri ya madaktari kupiga deiwaka. Wametohoa neno hilo.
So maybe imagine it's an English word, day worker.
Day worker, yes.
It's what the equivalent of what we call in Kenya locum. So when you're working in one hospital and then during your free time you go and do some few hours in a different hospital. So yes, siri ya madaktari kupiga day worker. Hapo ndo wanapata marupurupu yao na imepewa kipaumbele kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa taifa wa Mwananchi.
Gazeti la The Citizen sasa, path to unlocking $5.5 billion in unrealized export potential. And, well, when they always talk about matters SGR, inaguzia pia Kenya, the joy and agony of SGR services. The introduction of electric-powered trains marked a significant milestone for Tanzania's transportation sector. However, this advancement has brought unexpected challenges for residents living near the SGR routes. Interesting.
Watu wajazoea stima. Really kama ina stima mchunge sana. Sisi tulielewa hiyo mambo. Watu wengi wajazoea. Because even if you look at the Savo where the SGR passes, can imagine if it was electric, the kind of challenges it would present. But then again, those are the headlines, and we'll be back to look at the local ones in a short while. For now, let's take a look at the traffic situation in Nairobi. We had noticed something happening along Outer Ring Road earlier this morning. I don't know if it has eased off. Let's check. Yes, it was around Pipeline area towards Donholm. And you can see there's a bit of a slowdown here past Pipeline railway stop. This is around the Avenue area, Avenue Park Estate area. So yes, a bit of a slowdown on that stretch as you move towards Donholm.
Yes.
But it appears it's easing off.
Yeah,
yes, initially it was a dark red and it was longer. So it appears whatever incident was there is easing off.
Has eased off, yes.
Further ahead along Jogoo Road, yes, it's building up slowly. Makadara Mbotela area, it is a long stretch of red. So it means the traffic there is building up. Also building up as you exit the roundabout to St. Stephen's Jogoo Road. It's also, there's a snarl up there, as well as at the roundabout of City Stadium. Landis Road and Haile Selassie Road looking good. A bit of a heavy traffic around Marikiti area. So that's normal traffic from that area. Thika Road, I don't know why nowadays, Pangani interchange appears to be smooth at this time of morning. Usually there's red, but nowadays there's nothing much for the past 2 weeks or so. So if you're using Thika Road or Kiambu Road getting into town, this is the best time to actually use that section of the road. Oh yes. South of Nairobi, Mombasa Road looking good all the way into town. Nothing to report there. Langata Road 2 all the way past Uhuru Gardens down towards Nyayo Stadium, as well as Ngong Road. Nothing to report there. Past Junction Mall, past Adams Arcade, looking good. And finally, Wayakiwe into town. Go as far back as Kangemi and yes, past ABC Place, past Westlands, and it's looking good. Yes, so traffic situation upon Mbaya, only people using Outer Ring Road and sections of Jogoo Road should have a bit of a problem.
As of 10 minutes past the top of the hour, tuanze na Kapsabet around that area. When we take a look at the weather updates for today, they say precipitation 5%. That means that, well, early in the morning, haitakuwa na mvua as much, but then getting into the evening is where you're going to be receiving some average rainfall if you're in Kapsabet. Highs of, I think, 22 thereabout. Some thunderstorms as well expected in that area. And in Baringo, let's take a look at how things are going to be looking like. 21 degrees Celsius. Yes, you see mbaya sana. Zaniguzia hapo Nairobi, tuangalie how Hapa County 047 and its environs, 30 degrees Celsius. Right now, no chances of raining today. Quite an average warm utakuwa unapata leo today. 22 degrees is as high as it's going to get, and lows of 12 degrees Celsius. That is how things are looking like. Speaking of which, let's take a look at dairy, which we had alluded to earlier. One of the biggest things that you're going to be looking at for today. So first off, the Cabinet Secretary of The vetting of President William Ruto's Cabinet Secretary's nominee is set to commence today. So Interior Cabinet Secretary nominee, Professor Kithure Kindiki, will first appear at around 8 a.m. and then followed by, later on, Dr. Deborah Baraza for the health docket. Later on, we'll be having Alice Ohome in the lands docket, Julius Ogamba for the education, and Soipan Tuya for the defense docket. In the sports desk, they're going to be taking a look at around 7:30 a.m., some few minutes actually, as of now. The men's 20-kilometer race walk final and flying the Kenyan flag. Samuel Gadhimba is set to be the first on the track, so we do expect that as well. Also, Kenyan flag for today, women's 78 kg round of 32 in judo, where Zedi Cherotich will face off Portugal's Patricia Sampaio. That is what to expect in the Paris Olympics, among other details in our news bulletins. Right now, though, today in history.
On the 1st of August 1982, Senior Private Hezekiah Ochuka and Sergeant Pancras Oteo Okumu led a coup against the late former President Daniel Moi. The plan of the coup was to bomb State House, Nairobi, and the GSU headquarters from the Laikipia Air Base Force in Nanyuki Base, but this did not work.
All right, let's now come back and take a look at the dailies locally. Ruto tax law bites the dust. That's the big headline on the front page of the Standard. Probably you could assist me with that.
Yes.
There. And they say billions at stake. Country's finances in major crisis after judges declare Finance Act 2023, which the government was banking on after the fall of the finance bill, the 2024 finance bill, unconstitutional, leaving authorities with an option of appeal. This is a Standard. Or reverting to Uhuru's 2022 tax laws. This story is on page 2 and 3. And some of the notable taxes in the Finance Act of 2023 was a 1.5% affordable housing levy on gross monthly salary matched by the employer. The other one was the exemption of LPG from 8% tax. And this is the time when they increased VAT on fuel from 8% to 16%. That is one big one. 1.5% trailer development levy down from 2%. And turnover tax for businesses whose revenues is 1 million shillings to 2.5 million. Withholding tax on digital content monetization 5%. All these were introduced in the Finance Act of 2023, and this is what has been declared unconstitutional. Now, the verdict by the Court of Appeal said the Finance Act is unconstitutional. Parliament violated the law by passing finance bill without budget proposals and estimates. Housing levy dispute has been overtaken by events. That's a highlight. It has already been overtaken by events because we're already being charged. And the 2024 amendments. Parliament should have written reasons for all rejected or accepted proposals. High Court has powers to scrutinize government policies, and some 27 sections of laws that were introduced after public participation are unconstitutional. Now, how the government will deal with this crisis, we have to wait and see. Of course, they have the option of appeal, plus they could just revert back to the Uhuru era Finance Act of 2022. And then a rare photo of the Azimio chiefs. I like the fashion sense of these gentlemen. You can see mum jeans, shirts that are not fitting. Someone is feeling extra cold, a red sweater. It's a very interesting mix. These are Azimio leaders led by Raila Odinga after a meeting of the Opposition Coalition Summit at SKM Command Center in Nairobi yesterday. The other story that features on the front page, of course, a big discussion that has been going on this past week and will continue, is more DP allies quizzed over protests' role. Embakasi Central MP Benjamin Gadhiru is the seventh of leaders and officials close to the Deputy President to be questioned by the DCI over protests that rocked the country. And yes, the image of the Deputy President making it to the front page once again. On the back page, Matters Olympics in Paris. May Kenya's hands for medal now begin in Paris. The men's 10,000 meters will be staged tomorrow night at Stade de France. Kenyan stars Kipkorir, Mateko, Kiplagat and Kibet will be up against strong rivals. Yes.
All eyes on that.
Yes. And a lot is happening tomorrow, nothing much today. So yes, for people who are waiting for Kenya to actually begin the medals haul, kesho ndio siku. That's the standard this morning.
On the front page of Daily Nation, they go with a big headline. They go with a very different bit. 4 pilots who saved Moi's rule. Coup attempt on eve of deadly mutiny. President Moi faced security scare at a state event. So on the 42nd anniversary of the abortive August 1st, 1982 coup, they trace 4 Kenya Army helicopter gunship pilots who had a frontline role in suppressing the rebellion mounted by junior Air Force servicemen. The quartet for the first time speak about the dramatic events, including a successful mission to bomb Nairobi's Eastleigh Air Base during one of Kenya's darkest moments. The coverage on pages 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they have space for other headlines.
And it makes for a very good read for those people who can only understand what happened that 1982 coup through reading. Some people like my director, Emmanuel Inonda, I suspect was among the few people who got into trouble with police around those days. So he had a first-hand experience. But for people like Stanley Nyaringita, you need to read the story.
I have read it, actually. I have read events that were there before and even after.
Good for you.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Now my director is quizzing me right now. I know those people. Like
that was his
Ezekiel
roommates.
Yeah, okay.
In high school.
Other headlines that have found space on this paper, on the right scroll: no housing levy reprieve as court quashes 2023 tax law. And they have the photo there of Senator Bungoma. Okiomtata pale. The nullification of the Finance Act 2023 yesterday presented a win-lose situation for Kenyans as it reversed some gains introduced by the laws while quashing some punitive tax measures brought by the Kenya Kwanza administration. And on the bottom, new standoff over IEBC selection team. More is on the page 8, a standoff in the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition over nominees to a recruitment panel threatens to stall the hiring of electoral commissioners. And I can read that on page 8. Let's flip the page, to the paper, to the back page. They resurface the conversation of the airport. Petition seeks to stop India Farm from running airport. Under the deal, the Indian farm has proposed to upgrade JKIA. They say Mr. Guyo wants the deal proposed by Adani Airport Holdings declared unconstitutional. Mr. Guyo is Isaac Lango Guyo. Yes, that is big on the back page. The headline: state told to pay 496 million Kenya shillings to students and parents in Garissa terror attack case. All right. And on the very top, race walker Samuel Gadhimba launches Kenya's athletics program in Paris this morning. Told you as of 7:30 a.m. So I believe it's in an hour's time or so. All eyes will be on him. Those are the headlines on Daily Nation for you.
Let's take a look at the People Daily, and it is the same cocktail of stories that we've seen on other dailies. They begin with Ruto crisis as judges reject finance bill and the appellate court bench, the 3-judge bench. The images are there. This is Justice Agnes Murgor, Justice John Mativo, and Justice Kathurima Minoti, the faces of the 3-judge bench. The other story, of course, Date with Destiny for CS nominees. Mogashagwa allies grilled over protests. The only new story on the front page of the People Daily is why it will be long wait for Gen Zs to get ID cards. Fresh delays arise out of High Court decision suspending rollout of new digital identity cards, popularly known as Maisha Number, pending determination of case by rights lobby. So more or less the same stories we've seen on the other dailies. I'm sure the Star would go with something different.
Well, for the Star eyes on Bunge's MPs vet cabinet nominees, and they have clearly posted their photos there, those who are going to be vetted today, starting off, as they had alluded earlier, with Interior CS nominee Kithure Kindiki. Other headlines, pale chini, Kenya receives first Islamic bond listing on the NSE. And they have a picture there, Nairobi Securities Exchange Chairman Kiprono Kitany and President William Ruto yesterday at NSE. And a 9-year wait, court awards Garissa terror victims close to 500 million cash shillings. And they say survey finds huge rise in number of sex workers. MSM, interesting. Can read that on page 9. And finally, the photo of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who was on all, or rather major local dailies yesterday. I think apart from Business Daily, now finds space on the top strip of the Star. There's a new twist, puzzle of Gachagua impeachment. Matters controversy there. The Star, that takes us to gazeti la Taifa Leo.
Yes, kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo anasema moto kwa Raila, joto kwa Ruto. Kiangazia masuala ambayo yanakumba vyama vyao vya kisiasa. Wanasema kule UDA tunaazimia kuleta ukombozi kwa watu wa eneo la magharibi mwa Kenya. Huyo ni Cleophas Malala. Na upande wa ODM, nitazuru maeneo yote ya nchi kusaka uungwaji mkono. Kwa mwenyekiti wa ODM, huyo ni gavana wa Kisii Simba Arati. Anasema mpasuko wa tokota UDA, huku viongozi wakipigania nyadhifa wazi ODM. Masuala ya siasa yamepewa kipaumbele kwenye gazeti hili. Kwingineko, vidokezo zaidi, kiongozi wa Hamas auawa Iran. Hapa nyumbani kirejea hapa, Amoth sasa kuteuliwa mkurugenzi wa afya. Kwenye spoti, Chelsea FC kutema mastaa, tayari imesajili wachezaji wapya 6 huku ikipiga bei kipa na Lukaku. Na sheria ya fedha mwaka 2022 mwaka 2022 23 pia ni haramu, mahakama ya rufaa yasema. Hizo ni habari zilizopewa kipaumbele pale juu. Masuala zaidi ya kisiasa, mvutano Azimio watatiza uteuzi wa makamishna wa IEBC. Leo gazeti la Taifa Leo.
And finally on business matters on the Business Daily. Have the physical paper here. They say motorist top earners win as Finance Act 2023 falls. The nullified law had introduced new taxes in revenue drive, and the value-added tax on fuel reverts to the original 8%. So in context of that, they say the motorists and high-income earners are among the biggest winners after the Court of Appeal declared the Finance Act of 2023 unconstitutional. So the nullified law had introduced new taxes and raised others, including doubling value-added tax, that is VAT, on petroleum products to 16% and additional rates on payslips to those earning from 500,000 cash shillings per month. It also introduced a new tax band of 32.5% for income of between 500,000 and 800,000. For income exceeding 800,000, a new top tax band of 35% was also introduced. Something else that you need to know this morning, pale chini, Ruto's spending on development projects sinks to new low. They said development project funding as a share of the state's local expenditure has dropped to a single digit for the first time in more than a decade. Data shows reflecting the impact of the rising cost of servicing debts. Quite interesting there. On the ticker, matters economy, telcos on the spot has dropped calls surge to 2-year record. So they say customer complaints over dropped calls, that is the normal and internet-backed calls, have surged back to levels last seen 2 years ago, signaling poor quality of service from Safaricom, Airtel and Telkom Kenya. And that, in a nutshell, is the Business Daily. That takes us to the cartoons this morning. People are punching here.
Yes, this is a cartoon on the Standard today. It talks about what's happening in Parliament. The National Assembly matters vetting of cabinet nominees. And I don't know why the cartoonist has decided to show the National Assembly as a very short man with a very big tummy. Ameshiba proper.
Kijana nono round.
Yes, upande moja kuna National Assembly, upande mwingine kuna nominees, and a cabinet vetting is a punching bag in between. But all this is controlled from up here, and the colors up here, the hands dressed in yellow and green, I don't know why, but this is what you call...
And orange, and I believe that's orange, and then this is yellow.
One side there's orange, the other one is yellow. The same yellow and green. So these are puppets.
Yes.
Yes. So whatever they're doing down here is being controlled by the hands up there.
Yeah, and the hands of the ventriloquists one has the control.
Question is, how effective or how consequential will the vetting process be? That's a cartoon on the Standard. On the Daily Nation, they take a look at the traps that someone was to set. The DP was setting traps somewhere. But then, on the other hand, we see someone who's insisting he's not in government, but he managed to get into government.
Yes.
And jamaa amevaa crown hapa ile ya Murima.
Murima, oh yes.
So he has escaped all these traps and found his way into the red carpet of State House.
But then more.
Yes, and he
more,
says,
more
welcome
traps.
to State House. But he skipped all that and he said, yeah, but I'm not even in government. Yes, that's the Daily Nation.
For the Star, we have not yet put pen to paper. Wameshikilia, I think the security officers wameshikilia ni Adani. Want to try to get access into the airport, make international arrivals there. Has to do with that particular deal by the Indian firm, Adani Holdings, trying to take over really revamp GKIA.
Yes. So yes, Matters JKIA deal with Adani Group of India, making it to the cartoon of the Star. And finally on the People Daily, Olympics.
Inilu unaitanga moto ya...
Jamaa amevaa sufuria hapa.
Alikuwa na watch maandamano, cabinet reshuffle, police killings, Gen Z, whatever has been happening to the end of June and to the 1st of July, akapose. Akaenda kuwatch Olympics. Nilikwambia hii mambo kuna pause. Watch Olympics zishe. 8.
Okay.
Yes, the 8th of August 2024.
All right.
Mark that date.
These are just some of the interesting discussions we'll be having right here in studio with our panelists this morning. Do stand by for that and a lot more as we discuss this on the big headlines. And of course, another Ruto tax law bites the dust. What implication does this have? Plus a lot of politics going on. I can see my directors trying to direct us to look at a game being played by Manchester United. I don't know if we should include it in the cartoons.
No, why? I mean, this is a big one really.
All right.
Yeah.
So do stand by for a lot more coming up after the break. You can be part of the conversation.
We are leading 3. We are leading 3 goals.
Let's move on. We're dealing with serious. Tumemaliza na cartoons. We're going to the main discussion.
We are leading 3 goals to this.
You can be part of this discussion on X at TV47 News and on Facebook, TV47 Kenya. You can tag me as well on X at Fred Indimuli.
And Nyeringita _2047 is our SMS number. Coming up at around 8 a.m. on Law Matters as well. Have you ever had one of these family conflicts and you're wondering, how do I get a restraining order on your family member? We'll be discussing that as well. So stick around for that conversation. This is Boni Cafe, Usibanduke, even as we continue leading right here. 3-2.
Where mine?
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays, 6:30.
Karibu sana, welcome back. This is a Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indemuli. Time for us to take a look at the big headlines on State of the Nation. The front page of the Standard talks about another Ruto tax law biting the dust. And this is a fact that the country's finances are in a major crisis after judges of the Court of Appeal declared Finance Act 2023, which the government has been banking on after the fall of the 2024 finance bill, unconstitutional. Now, this leaves authorities with option of appeal or reverting to Uhuru's 2022 tax laws. That's a big headline on the front page of the Standard. The Daily Nation, meanwhile, decides to go with history, looking back at what happened, the events of August 1st and 2nd back in 1982. And the big headline is 4 pilots who saved Moi's rule. And that's a big headline on the front page. Matters Politics feature on other dailies as well, especially on the front page of Taifa Leo. Moto kwa Raila, joto kwa Ruto. And this talks about the current mizozano inside the respective parties. The top 2 political parties in parliament, UDA and ODM, as well as what's happening in Azimio. So the image of the Azimio leadership on the front page of Taifa Leo and also on the front page of the Standard today. Allow me to introduce my panelists this morning, starting from my immediate right, Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga Ward, also a member of the NEC of UDA party and a chairperson of the UDA MCA's caucus. Karibu sana.
Good morning, thank you very much.
I understand you have a NEC meeting sometime this week. You'll be telling us a lot more about that. Next to Bwana Kiruga Dhuku, we have Robert Alai, a very close friend of Bwana Kiruga Dhuku nowadays. MCA Kileleshwa Ward. Karibu sana Bwana Alai.
Asante sana, thank you.
A new inclusion into this panel, Patrick Osoi, political analyst. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
And of course, our Gen Z specialist, Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, political party PNU.
Thank you.
And let's start with you, Njeri. I saw your party leader 2 days ago say the party is exiting the Azimio formation. On the front page of the Standard, I can see the same leader in that line of gentlemen with very interesting dress code today. We're talking about the mom jeans and ill-fitting shirts and others feeling very cold. What exactly is happening in Azimio? Is PNU still there or not?
Thank you so much, Fred. And I've always told you, despite the fact that I'm a member of PNU and a youth leader in this county, and I don't want to speak on behalf of my party leader, but you know, sometimes when people make messes in politics, they just decide, you know, let us catch up for some coffee. Not really because you want to make amends or anything, but simply because I think, if you ask me, PNU is not going to go into government until this morning. That is what I think. And I don't want to speak on behalf of my party leader because, you know, Peter Munya is one person who listens to what the party gives opinion about, and he's one person who really takes his time before he can make some candid decisions. And I have always given him the benefit of, you know, he has been in this country for long. He has been a member of the cabinet. He has been a governor. And this photo, somebody would just tell you it was not something that was planned overnight. It was just something that they maybe thought, let's have some lunch. So I think it's just a simple lunch. But I know member for Chinga will start saying that, you know, we might be looking into something, but I don't think we are going into government. We are okay in opposition. We want to keep the government in check. And we as PNU are hoping that the members of this nation can look keenly as PNU takes the new trajectory in opposition. Because right now you see when ODM is not there, at least we don't have people who are giving us some elbows. So we will be there for a long time, until 2027 maybe.
ODM could be the bullies within the coalition. But, you talked about the MCA for Shinga, Kiruga Dhuku. Whatever is happening in the Azimio coalition, there's a lot of confusion on whether or not ODM is in government. What would you declare? Is ODM in government, or do you expect more people from Azimio to be joining? And as I ask you that question, we can already see within the UDA party some mannerisms that are very familiar to the other side, ODM especially, with a wrangling between the SG and the self-declared SG. What exactly is happening within the party, that is UDA?
Nothing out of the ordinary is happening in our party.
and I don't want to delve much into the matter.
It is there on the front page of the
Yeah.
Taifa Leo.
Yeah, but
it's not a piece of news we can ignore.
Yeah,
Sema
but
kuna joto kwa Ruto.
Yeah, but you see, our chair did declare yesterday, Honorable Governor Cess Barire. She did declare we shall have a next meeting this week. So the best thing is to await the outcome of the meeting. And there is nothing out of the ordinary. These are normal happenings in politics. I think when we sit down, the party will be able to discuss, ventilate on the matters on the table. And then, using the laid down party mechanisms, we shall be able to communicate our decision through the right channel. So I would want to leave it at that.
But the party, the UDA party has always declared that there's no room for violence or political hooliganism.
Of course there isn't. There isn't.
You're
and that's why we are meeting.
It's a normal thing in politics.
No, the reason, these things do happen. But what I'm saying is that's the reason why we have a next meeting, so that we analyze the situation, matters are laid on the table, then the party will make a decision.
Okay. And just to lay more background on to what exactly we're talking about in as far as the wrangling within the UDA party, let's watch this story as filed by one of our reporters.
UDA party headquarters. Earlier today, the ruling party's building was surrounded by angry and rowdy supporters, police trying their best to maintain peace. The unfortunate target of the hour was Joe Kalende, who sustained injuries from the confrontation. Evident from his blood-stained white shirt and the bandage around his head, the self-declared UDA Secretary General received more than just backlash. In a twist in the tale, UDA Chair Cecil Mbarire says Kalende, the self-declared UDA Secretary General, isn't actually an official of the party.
Somebody cannot come to the party and declare himself or herself an official of the party without following the laid down party procedures.
Irate UDA leaders from Kakamega County have threatened to abandon the party if at all Cleophas Malala is ousted.
UDA nataka kujaribu kutest kidogo, wajaribu kugusa kileo, ndio wajue no kileo, no UDA. Simama watu wa kuone ukiongea kwa haya maneno.
Ndio. Kwanza wale watu ambao wako headquarters, tunataka tuwaulize kama mjui kazi yenu kwa hiyo headquarters. Mtoke kwa hiyo headquarters kuja tufanye kazi.
However, measures are being put in place to sort the issues threatening to disrupt the peace and unity of the party.
Emergency meeting on Friday to resolve the matters that have emerged in the party since yesterday.
Vera Alberta, T47, Nairobi.
Yes, Bwana Kiruga Thuku, you're one of the people who will be that next meeting to decide what's next for the party. But kuna joto UDA. One would be forgiven to think that was a different party headquarters.
No, it's our party headquarters, and we wish to condemn what happened there in the strongest terms possible. But our chair spoke, and the way she said, we have our ways of doing things. You cannot just come to the party and claim you have taken over. We have laid down structures. You also cannot, it's not good to, our party is not associated with violence, but I don't want to preempt anything. The chair has called for a meeting. We wait for the meeting, we will go there and deal with those issues there.
Yeah, Bwana Patrick Osoe, karibu sana to TV47.
Thank you so much.
This are not the kind of scenes that we expected from the ruling UDA party.
Right.
The place of political hooliganism is something that we've tried to do away with for the longest time. And the party leader for UDA declared that this would not happen in his party. Well, he has made several declarations, but we see this kind of behavior continuing. What is the problem with the conduct of our politicians, or even aspiring politicians?
Right. I want to state this. One, this country for the longest time, we've been having a lot of deception and in terms of psychological operations. And what we are seeing here, I want to speak from the perspective of being also a security expert and also on views of political maybe way. So what we are seeing here, it is not possible for someone anonymously go to UDA offices and declare himself as Secretary General of a political party. So in this case, what I'm saying is that we are seeing a stage-managed psychological operations in this country, right basing from our Deputy President, the Kalonzo Musyoka declaration wanting to distance himself from the ODM, having Right Honorable Raila Odinga purporting or maybe joining the William Ruto. So these are, we used to talk about division of labor, but now we are talking of division of adversities or division of what is happening in the country. So this will disorient the Gen Zs and millennials call for what we still are pushing for as one of the persons that I'm in solidarity with accountability in this country. So we were talking about different issues. Now we are now seeing a dialogue issue. And what I'm foreseeing on the UDA thing, this was just a psychological operations, that which is geared to make Kenyans believe or see that is Wrangles in UDA. And our politicians are ready to do anything, even people losing their lives to hold what they have to do because they are very selfish. That is what we have since 1963. Okay. So we're having that kind of a demeanor to protect interest of our politician in this country.
Okay.
Yes.
When I lie, you're no stranger to such incidences.
Why?
I'm saying, as a member of ODM, yes. You've experienced such for quite a long time. Yeah. But looking at it happening on the other side in UDA, it is an indication of a changing DNA of the UDA party. That probably, with the inclusion of ODM into government, that has shaken the base of the UDA party, and a lot of things will be changing going forward. In terms of even the organizational structure of the UDA party. Are you smiling watching what's happening in UDA?
No, we are not smiling. We are not smiling because, you know, I don't think first for us as members of the elected members of county assemblies from Dagoretti North and the political fraternity in Nairobi, we don't expect such scenes to be seen. You know, the party headquarters is in Kilimani. The ODM party headquarters is also in Kilimani. The State House is in Kilimani. And so as one of the members elected in that constituency, I don't expect that scene because it's not very befitting of the stature of the party, of the ruling party. But you know, also they need to be commended because at least for the first time we are seeing a lot of interest in UDA. We are seeing people are fighting to take over the leadership. When just a few weeks ago, people like Mudama wanted to run away from UDA. We were seeing very senior members of UDA running. I think that the fact that ODM has rescued UDA from itself should be a positive thing. And UDA, for the first time, you know, they are seeing a lot of interest in themselves. And just like a beautiful girl, if you married a lady and nobody's whistling at her, or at least she's passing without being noticed, you know that the lady is not worth admiring. But when everybody,
so that's an indication of the attractiveness of the
yes, definitely. We are bringing, you're making UDA more attractive.
Not really.
Let's focus on ODM a bit, Alai. And yesterday we saw the naming of the replacements for those leaders who have left.
Yes.
Junet Mohammed taking over as leader of minority in the National Assembly, and some other leaders taking over for the deputy party positions, and as well as a position left vacant by that nominee for ESCCS in the elections board. One would wonder, because it would appear ODM is having its cake and eating it. On one hand, having its top leadership move into government and still claiming the minority position. Shouldn't they have left this position, at least to the other parties? Now that there's a lot of confusion on exactly where ODM's position is in this matrix.
I don't know. People drew up some theory that ODM needed to either be in government or fight government, and that was not working for them, because we have decided to strategically, say that we might not agree with the person who is the president now. We might not agree with the leaders there. Well, but we also need to protect the flag. We need to protect the country, ensure that there's national stability. We ensure that people can do their business, ply their trade without problems. And that's why when people who were elected on ODM decided to join Kenya Kwanza leadership at the cabinet level, then we say that we are releasing them, plus their positions, they are leaving their positions in parliament and positions in the party for others, so that we are not joining as ODM. But it was very interesting to see, people like Kioni, people like Munya say that, if ODM is not in Azimio has 23 parties. So if ODM is not in Azimio, they are saying that they don't see the interest of being in Azimio if ODM is not in Azimio. But while they are fighting ODM is still fighting so hard to maintain Azimio. Even when the choice of Wiper, even Jeremiah Kioni would not vote for the choice of Wiper for the IBC selection committee. ODM fought with Wiper and said that, we are going with Koki Muli. So I think that the people who conspired to ensure that Raila always fights the president or the government, they're going to be very disappointed, because it is not going to be the mission of Raila or ODM to be fighting the government.
And you talk about a very unique situation. You use the phrase protecting the flag.
Yes.
Meaning that we are in interesting times. Probably the country is in a crisis.
Yeah.
If you may put it that way. If we're told ODM has decided to save the flag, as it were, by working with the administration of the day, shouldn't they therefore respect the positions in the National Assembly, majority vis-a-vis minority? Now that you're propping up the majority, leave the minority parties that are clearly in the minority to take leadership in that position?
ODM, I think ODM is going to play the minority role, as it were. Also, remember that none of these people who are claiming that ODM is joining the government, if ODM was to join the government today, all these people will follow ODM to the government, which has not happened. All these people, including Wiper, would follow ODM to wherever, because their mission is to separate ODM and UDA. Their mission is to ensure that ODM and UDA are permanently at war, which is not going to, it is on whose interest. They believe that...
Is it fair for ODM to have one leg in the majority, one in the minority?
By the way, we are not one leg in the minority, one leg in the majority. We are fully in the minority side. And if ODM was today to even take a back seat, this country would get into anarchy, because you realize that even the protest of Gen Z was as a result of ODM. You remember when we held the protest last year, the personal targeting of Raila Odinga, the hunting, including bodyguards, including the MCs in Nairobi. We used not even to get to the county assemblies. We were hunted. If you got near the county assemblies, you just got 3 or 5 people kidnap you. And the people are talking of kidnappings now. And it's like a joke. We lost 75 people. They're talking of G40s, G35. They don't even know the figure. We lost so many people whom we know personally. Personally, I know, I look like 5 boys. We still have 7 people who are in Langata, in Nairobi West Prison. For charges, they were just charged with robbery, violence, without any evidence. They are still being held there without any bail or bond. So when people are claiming that ODM is one foot in the government, 1 foot out of the government, I think it's very unfair to ODM, because the role of political party, and we remind you, DA, that when you refuse to fund political parties, you saw what can happen to a country. That when people lack avenues, proper structured rules of engagement, then you're going to bring anarchy and chaos into this country. When UDA reduced the political parties' funding from 1.2 billion to 600 million, and even refused to give the 600 million, we knew that these people were staring at a serious anarchy, and we hope that they'll change their ways, because they need to realize that when you're dealing with partyless, leaderless, headless, tailless, you are staring at anarchy and chaos.
This insistence, Jerry Kahiga, that ODM is still not in government, how do you take it? The fact that the perception is they're working with government. The person who has been nominated or who's been nominated to take over as a leader of minority was in Samburu only last week and talked about, he even went ahead and promised a position for that community in cabinet. And one day later, someone from the North Rift region got a position. And when someone of that caliber in a party talks about their position and ability to do something within government, what does it mean when you say you're not in government?
You see, first of all, it's very sad to listen to Mheshimiwa from Kileleshwa tell us, you know, last year when ODM or when Azimio was in demonstrations, we had 70 and this time there were only like 40. You know, one life is too many, and we never estimate the depth of the crisis of our demonstration in regards to how many lives were lost, because we never wake up to go on the roads for us to be killed. We wake up to go to the roads hoping that the government is going to listen to us. And it's very unfortunate that, you know, ODM thinks that they have the monopoly to just run this country like some barrack or some like kiosk in somewhere based in Kisumu. We cannot have people. We cannot have people who have been thinking that, you know, we will go to government when we want, we will stay in opposition when we want, we will be the minority in parliament when we are both in opposition fully and when we are partially in government. What are you telling us when you tell us 5 of your members are cabinet secretaries? You know, they have 4 CSAs and they have the AG right now. All of them were party leaders they were part of the party leadership in ODM. And you want to tell us you're no longer in government? We've seen the SG for ODM say that they have resigned from the ODM. So it's clear, part of people, you know, it's a recommendation and it's not by wish that they resigned. It's because you cannot be a cabinet secretary if you are still part of any political party leadership. So the likes of Kina Robert Alai needs to be very honest with Kenyans. You cannot be in the minority and still be in government. Mm-hmm. This country does not belong to ODM. You know, they need to just sober up to that discussion. We cannot have a party that goes into government without even talking to other principals who are within opposition. Then they now decide they're no longer going to give the mantle to Wiper, which I think is the next close party to minority, to run the show. They still want to run the show. How are we going to run the show with people who have most of their employees in government? You can be sure those 4 CSs who have gone to government and the AG are going to go with a number of 5 to 10 employees from ODM, of course. So when you tell us you're in opposition, you're not in government, you know, some of these things are not even things that you can say that are very hard to understand. Even a kid in class 8 will tell you ODM has gone into government. And you can even go to the streets in the estate and you'll hear kids saying, Raila sasa wanafanya kazi na Ruto. It's an open secret, you know. They just need to accept that it's no longer business as usual. And if ODM continues like this, tutafunga hiyo kiosk yao. They cannot just wake up and run this country like some Kisumu-based kiosk. Okay. And the UDA members who are supporting
ODM is a national party. They have if you call them kiosks, they have kiosks everywhere.
They have kiosks everywhere, but the likes of Kinalai want to make us think that they should run the show everywhere.
Let's hold it there. Let's take a break. We're coming back on Morning Cafe to discuss a lot more. This is TV 47.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
You're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV47 with me, Fred Indemuli. I'm still in studio with Kiruga Thuku and Robert Alai, MCAs for Chinga and Kileleshwa, respectively, political analyst Patrick Osoi and Jerika Higa, National Youth Leader, PNU. I want us to move to the other big story, and this is vetting of cabinet nominees in Parliament. And this we will look at in also in connection with the kind of numbers and how the numbers will play out in the National Assembly going forward with the dalliance that we're now seeing between ODM and UDA, because it's an issue of concern. Yesterday, the EACC wrote a letter to the National Assembly raising issues about one of the nominees to cabinet who has been one of the top leaders of the ODM party. But just according to the cartoons, and I think it is a cartoon on the Standard today, it points to the fact that whatever is happening in the National Assembly, and if my director, yes, we have the National Assembly on one side, the cabinet vetting is a punching bag and the nominees on the other side, but it would appear that all this happening in the National Assembly is being controlled from the top by hands that have the colors that you can see there. So the concern among Kenyans is that whatever process happens with this vetting is inconsequential. It is just a formality. The names will be stamped. Whether or not the questions asked, including by the EACC, will be attended to by the vetting committee. The numbers, it is simply about voting. The EACC has written to the National Assembly. Do you expect the committee on appointments to do anything about it?
You know, friend, we should never change. You know, we always say someone is innocent until and unless they are proved guilty. So we cannot go to the reverse that someone is guilty unless proved innocent. That's not the way it works. So, with me, I believe we will have a serious vetting. And
do you see the possibility of any of the names being dropped?
I don't know, but with me, I would not even support the dropping of any name. Because, you know, Fred, it is good to be fair to people. Look at CSs like CS Kidiki. Look at CS like Honorable Alice Wahome. In that short time they have been CSs, they have brought so much changes, positive changes in their ministries. They may not be perfect, but they've done very well. When the president talks about a broad-based government, I believe, in my opinion, I believe they should be vetted, and because there are people, you know, they are not just being there. You know, even people keep saying here, oh, I don't know Joho, I don't know what. Honorable Joho has been a governor for 2 terms, my friend. Honorable Paranya has been a governor for 2 terms. Those people have capabilities that the president looked at and that made them get that consideration. So, we need
even when questions are raised about their integrity by the EACC.
But have they been convicted? If it doesn't matter who raises, you know, even you, integrity issues can be raised about you. How would you want to be treated? You know, friend, in this country, we just want to point at others. But when the shoe is on the other foot, we will cry fall. For example, you will see people today, they are shouting at others, but when they are appointed, they start shouting persecution. The thing is, Fred, we need this government to start working for Kenyans. And that's where our support for this government is based. And you know, I see people shouting, oh, I don't know if you support what. Fine. But personally, I have no apologies for supporting this government. I campaigned on the platform of UDA. I was elected. I'm a NEC member in the party. And, friend, we don't support the party with negative intentions. And I have zero apologies to make for being a supporter of President William Ruto. Because, there is God. There is God in heaven. And God knows we don't support President William Ruto with bad intentions. We support President William Ruto because we campaigned for him, he got the position, and now we can only support him so that he can deliver positively for Kenyans.
Okay. But when also there are serious concerns raised on such convictions.
Yes.
That once you decide you support your party leader, even when he makes a mistake, you cannot offer quality advice. You still support them. Are you persuaded that the conduct of the Appointments Committee in the National Assembly will be any different, apart from this unanimous support for the president, that no one will raise any serious questions about any of the nominees, even where questions have been raised by organizations such as the EACC?
Actually, it is very hard for me as a person. And if you realize, all these guys belong to a particular political party. For me, I'm a politician, and I don't speak about political parties, or rather, I'm contesting to be the next Kenyan 6th president in 2027. And in this case, I need to strike a balance between what the country is going through, because I wouldn't want to see a failed government. And the reasons why even young people came to the street is because they wouldn't want to see a failed Kenyan. Again, at the same time, I do not want to see a situation whereby the constitution violation is being exercised in this country. I want to say that the priorities of event that was supposed to take part, especially when we rejected the financial bill in this country, we actually are diverted from what was supposed to take the course. In this case, instead of vetting the CSs today, we are supposed to be vetting the IBC, or we are supposed to be having an IBC in place, so that actually we are able to have the members of parliament who went against the will of the people being maybe gotten out of the parliament, so that now people, or Kenyan people, can have power to control the parliament. Today, what we are having today is not vetting. We're having, as you call it, is just a formality, and then two, is just people who are just presenting there. Because you can't tell me that Opranya and Hassan Joho is qualified more than any other Kenyan, who in this case, we have many Kenyans, young Kenyan, vibrant Kenyans, who still can occupy those positions. But because it's on basis of who you know and how the government operates, and I want to tell my friends here how the government operates, especially having worked in the National Intelligence Service, that you cannot have a government that which does not conspire with the opposition government. So what happens is that in this case, and in the context of UDA, formed a government that did not have the supporting system or conspiracy sharing with the opposition in this case. So what we are seeing here are still continuation of crooks. I would call them that way, and I stood and I always stand to say that if there be any leader in this country who has truthfulness, who in this case can go in that parliament and say, I think the privileges that are being given outweighs what my constituencies are waiting for me to deliver for them. We cannot have that in this country. Why? If Mr. Arai today is elected, when he gets into the office, he finds so favorable policies that favors him and does not favor his people that he represents. So what happens? Mr. Arai keeps quiet. So in this case, and I want to tell my friends here that, and that's why I will always tell people, you do not need to have political party in slavery in this country. And this is what we are advocating for, especially as young people in this country. And I'm calling these young people here that let us stop having political parties and slavery, whereby you're not able to exercise your freedom of speech, I would call it that way, or views of the people that you represent in that parliament. Okay. And that is why we had the parliament pass a bill that was anyone without needing any intelligence that would know that the bill was not accepted by the Kenyans. But people went ahead to want to pass that bill. Why? We have been having ODM in this country, having something called transaction leadership in this country instead of transformation. People perceive ODM is a transformation leadership, but it's not. It's a transaction. And if you see all the government that they have passed before, you will realize that every time there's been handshake, if not handshake, dialogue, if not a dialogue, is something else. So that now they are able to have the transaction to cater for the interest of the selfishness or the political class people. Okay. And these are the people, these are the things that we actually need to be very honest to each other and have a conversation to each other as Kenyans and say that it is time to say, I think enough is enough for us to just be enslaved in our cocoons of tribes, in our cocoons of political parties, and have the truth on the table. So what we are seeing today as vetting is just a formality, I can assure you. It's only in Kenya where a criminal, if you want to be clean, you become a politician or you join the politics and you become a clean person. We have had those leaders. If you check the records, we have had those leaders violate the Article 6 of our Constitution. The integrity of our leaders and leadership in this country is wanting. Okay. And I want to say most of the leaders, they are supposed to be prosecuted because of failure of Article 6 of our Constitution.
Okay. When I lie, some of these leaders, especially the nominees for ODM, have been accused of having entitlement to cabinet positions. And we've heard some of them saying that if at all Raila Odinga had ascended to the presidency, they knew they were to be in cabinet. That is a sense of entitlement to these positions, because there are many people within ODM who are brilliant minds who would also equally lay claim to these cabinet positions. Are you Are you saying that even if questions on integrity are raised on some of the nominees picked from ODM in this vetting process, questions should not be asked about their integrity?
I think I believe also, and I trust that the people who are raising the questions on the integrity of the nominees, have a lot of evidence which can support at least their claims. And you remember when in 2013, 2012, 2011, we were having that conversation, and you're saying that, what do we do with the people who have been accused of these crimes, assuming very powerful positions, and some of the people they are going to be leading are actually their victims. We were ruled out, and people went to court, and the court said that, without any conviction, you cannot, deny somebody a chance to serve. And that's the dilemma we have. When these nominations were being proposed, some of us argued that if somebody has served as governor, even without the integrity questions, if somebody has served in senior political offices, because the conversation you're having now is that the young people, and not only the young people, but the people who have not gotten the opportunity to serve at that level, want an opportunity to serve. And the cabinet plays two key functions, which I think are very important. And one of them is political coherence. And that's why you see President Uhuru had a challenge, because the first cabinet which didn't draw its membership from the political class, most of them were, unlike Kibaki, where you got to be a minister having been elected an MP. And now Uhuru, Kenyatta and Ruto, where you have technocrats, people who nobody knew, some of them get to perform so well, but some of them get to disappoint because they don't know how to communicate policy, and you communicate it in a political language, and they don't know how to bring political coherence to the cabinet, and that is a challenge which Uhuru and Ruto had. So I believe that the best thing for the country now is to see that the evidence being adduced to these claims of, the integrity and so on, do they warrant the attention of the country? And if they do, what do we do? Because if ESCC has written a letter, we've had this question of Oparanya for so long. If they have any valid, have they not charged him? If you had serious issues with his integrity, why have they not charged him? Why have they been letting him roam around? That now when he's nominated, then you say that, we believe that this person is not clean, and I think that ESCC also become a political platform and can be used to be scoring political points. And so I would ask ESCC that if they added, even today, there's some governors, we ask ESCC every day to please charge these governors. But I believe that if these governors were to be proposed for any other positions, ESCC would recommend for their prosecution. But not now. So ESCC should not be a political platform. I think that...
Are you persuaded that these were the best that ODM could offer and to save the flag?
ODM has its own, systems where they choose the leadership and the nominees. We believe that these are the most senior political officials we have. When we give you 2 deputy party leaders, when we give you the minority leader, when we give you the party chairman, we are giving you, because we believe that that cabinet needs political coherence, needs political policy communication. We are giving you the topmost.
Okay.
Thank you.
So are you persuaded that the vetting process will do anything different apart from rubber stamping this list as it is?
This is what I've insisted on. And being a parliamentarian at the county level, this is what I insisted on. I have told parliamentarians, please play your role. Sometimes even differ with your own party, but play your role. Represent the people who elected you. Please go there and use your head. I have a challenge when people say that party position. Can we just, if somebody is good, can we just gauge? We are doing a national duty. Gauge this person. Is he good or is he bad? If somebody is bad, discard. You'd do the party a favor if you come to the parliamentary table, the committees and the selection committee, and also in the floor of the assembly, and give evidence and say that I am not approving this person because of A, B, C, D. And in front of cameras, I think the whole country would agree with you. I think if we convince the country, because if we convince the members and they convince the country, it would be good. But if the MPs turn into rubber stamps, it makes even the work of party leaders, because these party leaders also lead a caucus. If people in ODM, the leadership, the membership of ODM had not seen a problem with Oparanya, who is Raila Amolo Odinga to crucify Oparanya? If political leadership has not seen a problem with Joe, how are you going to convince Raila that please don't put Joe there, because there are people who are not members of ODM, but they might not prefer him?
But you agree that Parliament should be different. Members of the
I
National
believe that
Assembly
Parliament, and that's why we elect 349 people. These 349 should, 349 views. I think that if they are doing a disservice when they just go there and say that,
Okay. We are seeing a challenge in the conduct of the National Assembly, and this has been there for a while. And now that you talked about the role of Parliament and the failure to play their role correct, is a reason why we're seeing the headline on the front page of the Standard. Another Ruto tax law bites the dust. And this is a Finance Act of 2023. Yes? This presents a formidable challenge for government in the running of its processes, given the fact the recent events where the Finance Bill of 2024 had to be rejected by the President. Now, to have his Finance Act of 2023, his very very first budget-making process and finance proposal, rejected or declared unconstitutional, that in itself, Jerry, is an indication of failure by the National Assembly to offer quality to the President himself. Don't you agree?
I think time and again on this platform I've told you that we have an extension of the executive that sits in Parliament. They just take salaries and allowances, but they are operated like a button that you can press on and off, because I don't understand why. If right now is when the courts are telling us that this Finance Bill 2023 was unconstitutional, yet the people who sit in Parliament have legal advisors that we pay, have researchers, they were in that Parliament. It brings us back to the question of, is it time that we give the Kenyan voters more mandate, and we give them the freedom to, if once we feel the members of Parliament are not performing, we can just wake up and dismiss them. And I wish IEBC was already functioning, because we would have recalled some of these members. Because I don't understand why, for instance, me who comes from Daragwa, why my member of Parliament sat down the whole of last year when they were discussing about that finance bill as it was being implemented, and he did not realize it was unconstitutional. And again, I want to go back to the question that Aragi has brought of the members of Parliament needs to give very honest opinion, because there are 349 members of Parliament. And I want to tell you that moving forward now, you need to allow also a live response to question like our member for Kiruga, member for Chinga Kiruga. Because you see, I can bet you, if it was a question of when we were all in Azimio, and it was a question of people that the president had picked, and their integrity was a question, you can bet me, member for Kilelesho would have told you, you know, EACC cannot just wake up and raise accusations, and they need to be given time for them to give us reasons. But now he's saying, you know, these political people, they are our best from ODM. We cannot tell Baba to say, and it goes back to the question of when the sword is on which side, when do people think it's a sword? Because now we are going to a situation whereby people want to tell us that EACC is now political. We have listened to Baba call on to EACC. We've listened to Azimio call on to EACC to probe some of these serious allegations. We have listened to when people have been acquitted from very serious graft cases, and ODM and Azimio has been very vocal to say this is wrong. But right now, if you ask, like if you can ask Alai, we can see on our newspaper about the former CS Tourism, Najim Barala, he will tell you that is fine, because now when people go into government, they want to make everybody feel like everything else we are doing is political. But I can tell you for a fact, if EACC has felt the said CS nominee Oparanya does not fit to be in cabinet, then we need to listen to EACC. EACC cannot just sit and write about something that they don't know about. And again, it's public knowledge that those cabinet nominees are not people who have very clean records. These are people who have served as members of Parliament, they have served as governors, they have served in very big positions in this country that involves the revenue of this nation. So we cannot just wake up and say that this is quite political. And I think for ODM to have given us these very senior members, they need to tell us, don't they believe in their young people in ODM? Because ODM has very clean people who have no record of anything in the public called corruption. But they still felt they would rather give us the old senior politicians because they feel cabinet should now be a political affair suddenly. And they have thrown out the question of qualifications. They have thrown out the question of competency. And now we are going to have a cabinet that is just there for political policies to go through parliament. And you have listened to him say that minority does not need to go back to the Wiper or the parties that are still in Azimio. Because they just want a situation where in this country where they can just pass anything that comes into parliament. And I can bet you, 1 month later when you invite us for this panel, you will realize the parliament will say nothing against those people because they're an extension of the executive.
Bwana Kiruga, I'll take you back to your statement just earlier today that you swear to support your party leader because that's the position you've taken. But that is what we see presenting such challenges. Whatever challenge President Ruto is facing with this rejection of the Finance Act of 2023 is really consequential to the president himself. Parliament should have done better. But because of that attitude that we support wholly whatever the president says without proper scrutiny in the National Assembly, that's why we have this kind of problem. I remember one of the nominees, current nominees of cabinet, the former chair of the ODM party, saying on the vetting process of the first President Ruto's first cabinet that we can give the president his skunk, meaning that Parliament realized our issues to do with that, the nominees, but they simply rubber stamped the list and gave it to the president. Do you think that the National Assembly is really doing the president a favor by simply rubber stamping and wholly supporting whatever comes to the president without offering any better quality to him?
I don't think there is any rubber stamping because if it was a matter of rubber stamping, then they wouldn't even go through the process of vetting. But friend, and this I always even say it in our assembly because we normally vet people there. Most probably, you underwent vetting before you became a journalist in this station. And, you know, just imagine yourself, the way it would feel for the panel interviewing you to be biased against you. I always tell even my colleagues, you know, in this world, what goes around comes around. Never be the person to stand between people and their God-ordained destiny. And I'm very clear on that. On this matter about supporting the president, you know, friend, I campaigned with the president since the inception of the UDA. We have policies, I think they are even ingrained in my psyche, that are meant to help the people. My word has even been honored with a presidential visit because it's not about me, it's not about the president, it's about the people we lead. And, you know, it's not just like the president, when he visited my ward, he just came there just for leisure. He came to identify himself with the challenges facing the people that I lead.
But I have a question for you,
yes,
Bwana Kiruga.
yes.
In the name of the president, in the name of supporting the president, members of the National Assembly passed the finance bill of 2023 and it was signed into law. Those same members months later came back and said that some of them had not even gone through the bill. They simply passed it. They simply passed it. And those are members from Mount Kenya region. It is that kind of quality they offer to the president in the name of supporting the president wholly that we are questioning, especially on issues. We're just drawing a comparison with the vetting process, but if you look at the headline, and this is a big challenge, yes? In the name of supporting the president, you leave the president even more exposed.
I don't think so, Fred, because, you know, personally I admire someone like Honorable Njoroge Kurulia. Honorable Njoroge Kurulia, I was watching him on TV like a week ago, and he was saying if the finance bill comes back to Parliament the way it was, I'll still vote yes. Why? Because what...
In the name of supporting the...
No. Because what was contained there is very helpful to the people I lead. And that is why we have been saying here, friend, let's talk to one another. Because once we accept to hear or to listen to one another, you realize it is not about what you are claiming to be in the name of the president. There might be things there that are so helpful to the same people I lead. So let us talk to one another. We understand one another. You'll get to realize people are not supporting clauses in the bill because of, in the name of the president, but because they think coffee matters are there, tea issues are there, our roads are there, things positive to our people are there. But again, someone else will come and say, you will come and counter and say, no, I don't think it is said because of this and this and this. But when someone goes out there, says, oh, even I think members were bribed, then comes back and says, oh no, I apologize, those were just rumors. Now look, we go, we burn down supermarkets belonging to Kenny MP, Mheshimiwa Sheni. Then we realize after that, and we are burning tires on the road, we are destroying our tarmac. Then we realize this MP for Kenny had employed almost 500 youthful people. So what are our priorities? Is that the way we want to fight the president? We are fighting ourselves, my brother.
But Bonosoi,
yes, sir.
If at all we had a challenge with how Kenya Kwanza affiliated MPs were conducting themselves in the National Assembly and rubber stamping government policy in the name of supporting the president, then our problem has been compounded with the inclusion of ODM members now. They will be in the name of supporting BAMBA, in the name of supporting the president, in the name of saving the flag. That problem will be way compounded in the National Assembly. Don't you think that the National Assembly is probably the weakest link in the governance of this country?
I want to talk from the point of a failure to adhere to meritocratic way of governance in this country. And the issues we have in this country is not even about the people in those respective offices, but we have a failed government since independent, and a government that does not observe merit, a government that does not observe merit or does not observe meritocratic process to make sure that the people who even represent us in the parliament today are experts in their area of expertise. Let me say this, we cannot blame some MPs who in this case did not even go through the financial bill, for example, because this person probably does not even understand the content in that financial bill because one, of the know-how. So I want to say that right now, what we have is a more bigger problem, having now the opposition side joining the ruling government. So we are actually foreseeing more problem than we have had before, because now everything that the government wants, everything that is needed to be passed will do that. Actually, I'm seeing this, overhand of term of the president being extended and all that stuff. And these people are doing this because also of 2027 political arrangements. So they understand very well that once they are able to manipulate, and once the members of parliament who are enslaved in their cocoons today, who cannot speak on their own behalf, on the behalf of the interests of the people that they represent. And I like this gentleman, and I said, I know why Mr. Lai, for example, is in ODM today. I've known him for some time, and he tries to balance between the reality and the truth. If today, this guy, and I want to challenge you, Mr. Lai, ODM might not actually allow you to go beyond the limits that you are in today. Why? Because they know you are not just, you are looking for integrity. You're looking for that quality leadership. That is why today you can even say that members of parliament should be in the parliament today to actually represent the interests of the people, not what your political party tells you, not what it is in this country. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us have an overhaul. That is what I would call it in 2027. And have an overhaul of this country. Make sure that the leaders that we put in place are on merit basis. Today, it doesn't matter how smart, how eloquent Mr. Alai would be, for example, coming from the Nyanza region. He cannot have a job in this place because, one, he does not meet the merit on basis of what this company requires. Why do we tend to believe that our politicians today should be in their respective positions without any merit in this case? So, and again, I want to ask ladies and gentlemen here, what do you think over 60 years person is geared to change in this country? What they are living is contentment and wanting things to be just cool down. If we want vibrant change in this country, it doesn't matter what political party is. I want to see ODM, me as a leader, me as an expert. I want to see a situation whereby ODM is embracing young leadership on their governance, so that now we have vibrance and have people who have interest.
Just point of information. You see, my brother here, I think I heard him say he want to become the president, if I got him right.
Yes.
Article 27(4) of our constitution.
Correct.
Is very clear. You cannot discriminate against anyone on account of age, on account of gender, on account of religion, on account of conscience, and it outlines all that.
So the president was wrong when he said that any person above the age of 60.
No, that is civil service.
What is discrimination?
No, that is civil service. You know Kenyans are very funny because you want to use that to argue about the civil service must have a limit so that we have an uptake of the young.
And why not the cabinet?
But why? The cabinet.
You are being double standards, member for Chinga. That is double standards.
No, in the cabinet and in
what is different from the cabinet?
The more the age,
ministry.
even the more someone might bring the experience.
Fred, just a minute.
Let me finish.
No,
so
your statement is wrong.
No, the issue is this. You know, I don't know why PNU is so confused. That is why they cannot even become.
How does my opinion and PNU
The issue is, Fred, people need to distinguish between matters policy, because civil servants, friend, there are so many that are in their millions. So you cannot come and say someone must go about 60, 70. That is why it is capped at 60, so that even there is an uptake of the young ones. But a cabinet does not comprise more than 22 people constitutionally.
It was just a challenge.
But I wanted
but your point was a point
who want to become our president.
To understand that bit.
To understand that, Article 27.
It's okay.
Allow, because that was not the main discussion. Allow you to chime in.
Member for Chinga, you learned
the opposition. And also
I am proudly in opposition, member for Chinga. You see, member for Chinga is trying to be double standard. Today, if the people of Chinga gave us a 70-year-old a chance to be an MC, he's a two-term MCA and he's very young. But he wants to tell us that it's okay for us to have a 60-year-old in cabinet, but we cannot have him in the ministries because the president. So you see, that is the problem of being somebody who is controlled by your party leader. In one point, when the interview is going on, I would see him burning to respond to the question of age that he raised, which is very important, and it has been a discussion in this country for a long time. Then he remembered, oops, my president had said anybody above 60 must go home. And now he pulls the card of, that in civil service and in cabinet you can allow. That is very wrong.
Oh, that member for saying BAMBA. That is not that is like saying BAMBA should not go for AUs here.
No, listen.
Over 70.
Let me take you back to the conversation.
Let me take you back about age.
Let me take you back to the conversation we were having, and I want Bwanalai to come in on this. And it's the issue of the numbers in Parliament, and I'm more concerned about the conduct of Parliament going forward, because it is a crucial arm of government that we cannot do away with. And if at all there's any misconduct in any way, it will affect the entire nation, if we're talking about saving the flag. So now we see a possibility of having a supermajority. Just going by the numbers, if ODM is working with, let's even just say UDA, which is the biggest party within the Kenya Kwanza coalition, in the name of saving the flag, the two parties alone, by their membership and support inside the National Assembly, only have one less member for them to achieve supermajority in the National Assembly. That could have implications going forward. on issues of voting, amendment of the Constitution, and possible impeachment of a president or a deputy president. Do you see those numbers being used in any of that direction going forward?
No, I don't think that, we have sat with UDA, and agreed that we'll be working together as parties. That one is something you need to pay attention to, because people take it as a joke, but it's very serious that, you might see a lot of things, party leadership moving here and there and saying that they're going to work with the UDA, but there's no policy which has been communicated and say that moving forward we are going to be voting and working with the UDA. But we need to realize also there are issues of common interest which might see people break party ranks, and you should not only see the negative side of that closing of rank. I think that the best thing is that we see the national interest, the emergence of a very vibrant and energized working class and middle class engagement is very crucial for this process, because I think that every politician is now going to be aware. You remember when we have come here several since I got elected, I've always reminded us that please, let's get the middle class out to come to the national conversation. And if we don't get them out, we'll remain with the political, confusion we have. But for the first time, we are seeing Gen Z. The unfortunate bit is that the people who are working have unleashed their kids. They have not come out. We are not seeing the senior civil servants, the people in the private sectors, the people doing the businesses, people in the formal working environment, and who also they are major taxpayers in this country, coming out and saying that we want to give our opinion on this. And that one has been the weakest link in the conversations of democracy in this country. So if we get the working class out, whatever happens in the parliament, it will be controlled by what the citizens think. I think that the conversations in the social spaces, social media, even the informal, even just getting the feedback from the public in general, from what we get from the ground, will be very important.
What about the influence of the parties? Because there's a lot of political influence.
The movement of Gen Z almost diluted the influence of the parties, if it was well structured. But when we insisted on them at least having a well-structured engagement, they refused. And that one is what, because even in Nairobi, you see, out of the 85 wards, we cannot get more than 2 elected. In fact, there's no independent candidate, because even the 2 who are elected on independent, Kariobangi North and Roysambu, were aligned to political formations. The Roysambu had to align with UDA, and the Kariobangi North had to align with ODM for them to come in. But for the first time, I saw an opportunity for us to get really independent minds in the political space in the country. But when we killed the idea of the Gen Z's movement having a structured leadership, I think that they are going back into their gains, which is going to really affect the political conditions moving forward.
Allow me to take you back to the issue of the numbers in Parliament.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something to do with issues of common interest, which may occur.
Yeah.
There's an issue that has been captured on the dailies in the past few days, and that's a possible impeachment of the Deputy President.
Yeah.
Could this be a possible issue of common interest? ODM and Azimio have had questions over the conduct of the Deputy President, especially on his comment on the shareholding government. You have had your own misgivings, if at all, because this proposal so far is coming from within Kenya Kwanza parliamentarians. If at all such push actually proceeds, would it be an issue of common interest that ODM would want to ride on as well?
I think that the presidency should be one of the unifying factors in this country, and the presidency composed of the deputy president and the president, the both offices. The unfortunate bit is that since this government was elected, we've had conversations repeated to us every day that you are not shareholders. You have seen the cartoon today in the Daily Nation where the mtego kila pahali, everywhere status, then the mtego doesn't catch some and it catches some. It has been, even in UDA's strongholds, you saw the conversations before the protests broke out in April and May. The conversations in Rift Valley, in central Kenya, including in Nyeri, where people are asking us, is this the leader of Karatina, or is this a leader of central Kenya? Is this a leader of the country? You know, so these things, we have had a very polarizing deputy president who has seen that, you know, he needs to ensure that he has a stronghold of his base. He didn't work like William Ruto, where he had challenges in his base before, you know, including in 2007, where BAMBA had to go and convince a lot of Rift Valley residents to accept him. But when he became deputy president, he campaigned everywhere else, but not Rift Valley. He ensured he was in Tana River, he was in northern Kenya, he was in Nyanza, but he was not in Rift Valley. In fact, Rift Valley were asking that these donations, can we get them? Yeah, then when he came back to Rift Valley, everywhere else had accepted him. But we have a deputy president who today is working to ensure that nobody else should want him but Central Kenya. I don't know how he's going to stay in that office, because if I was his president, I would ask him to resign. But since I'm not his president, and since I'm in the opposition, and you know some of us.
You're not in opposition, alive. Please don't lie to us.
Since I'm in the opposition,
I'm still struggling to get an answer to my question.
You know, so I believe that.
Is a possible impeachment of the deputy president, could it be a possible issue of common interest?
If you check my tweets in April or before that, I said that the people who were behind Ndizi Nyoro thought of impeaching the deputy president before the protests. And I think that with the protest, it is a very serious possibility.
Do you think the ODM voting bloc in the National Assembly could buy into that idea?
If I don't see reason for supporting deputy president, and I think I'm one of the people who are more level-headed than some of the politicians who are going to use party positions. But if I don't see the reason for supporting and dying with him and ensuring that his rights are respected, I don't think that many in the opposition would really support him. I think many would want
No, don't say opposition, say ODM.
Yes, Jerry. On this issue of the possible impeachment of the deputy president, how do you see it going? It's barely 2 years since the elections of 2022.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. I'm going to respond to that, and you need to tell a lie to nowadays be responding as an ODM member, because he's putting me at a very difficult position when he says that opposition is going to support the impeachment of Gachagua. No, let him speak of ODM. You know, right now, people should speak as ODM, I speak as PNU, and you know, we all know who is in opposition and who is in government. On the issue of the impeachment, because I can see all newspapers are writing about this impeachment, and it has been happening, the discussion has been on and off within Mount Kenya region, within the country, and I've been here severally and I've told you one thing. The deputy president messed up from the word go. But I am not going to today come here and tell you that if his impeachment came, I would be the one saying, let him go home. Because trust you me, if when positions came, Baba saw it right for him to give his own people from ODM. I don't see the reason as to why me as Njeri Kahiga, as somebody from Nyandarua County, as a member of Mount Kenya region, would wake up and tell you that I want the deputy president to go home. Why would I allow somebody to be victimized simply because now they have felt the convenience of ODM supporting them? You see, when you are raising kids, you have to learn to understand that in Kikuyu we say you cannot beat up a kid as you escort them outside the gate. It's a Kikuyu saying, you would understand it better in Kikuyu. So you don't fight, you don't whip a kid as you exit, as you lead them out of the gate. You have to whip a kid as you bring them back to the house. You have to whip them back and tell them this is how it's supposed to go. So for me, I'm not going to tell you that I want the deputy president impeached. In fact, if they dare bring that discussion, I can tell you for a fact, me as Njeri Kahiga, I will be among the forefront people who are going to say, we are not going to let you victimize our son. The same thing that I said when they brought up the Uhuru debate, when he was being insulted left, right, and center by even the deputy president, who is today going to face the same. And you see, in politics, I always tell people, nobody has the monopoly of every time calling the shots. Time comes when now you're on the other side of the table and now shots are being called against you. Because if you remember very well, if there is somebody who really pushed those of us from Mount Kenya who had now voted for Azimio outside the gate was deputy president. But now it's our turn for us to do the same to him. But because we are very mature and we are very honest with ourselves from the region, and because we want our interests served, I'm not going to be part of the impeachment of Gachagua.
Do you support the proposal by some members of the National Assembly to go that route?
No, friend. No, I'm a party loyalist. And the president...
That is already well established.
Yes, and the president and the deputy president happen to be my party leader and deputy party leader respectively. So I cannot come here and discuss them negatively in any manner. Allow me for that. So with me, I remain loyal to my party. There are other things, the way they would evolve, I leave
It
them.
is members of your party who are proposing this.
I don't know,
not coming from any other direction.
Yeah, but you see, I don't even have a vote for that. So I would rather leave it at that. I support my party leader and his deputy. Na maisha inaendelea. Also, allow me to utilize my minute to say this. Because
then I'll give you your final minute for final remarks. Allow me on this issue of the impeachment to engage Bwana Patrick Osoi. Then I come for your final comments. Bwana Osoi, on this issue of, do you see a risk of going that route of attempting to impeach the deputy president midway, the very first term of President William Ruto?
Right, we need to ask ourselves what are the parameters of impeaching a deputy president, even before we talk about the impeachment. And then again, could this be a psychological way to rule the Mount Kenya, where in this instance, we are seeing our deputy president being victimized, and in long run, the president purport to rescue him from such kind of an event and win the Mount Kenya region? Because, you know, these guys are, I've told you, the things that we see is not the things that are there. So most of us and most of the 90% of Kenyans, even leaders today, do not understand the arithmetics of political games in this country. So for me right now, I want to say that the difference between the deputy president, Honorable Gachagua, and our Excellency Deputy, William Ruto, when he was the deputy president, those are two differences. And I want them to state if this is wrong, because I'm talking from the intelligence point of view. Ruto, when he became the deputy president of this country, was paid. When Gachagua became the deputy president of this country,
those
paid.
are serious allegations.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm saying, I've said, if they are...
It's a very serious allegation.
Yes. It's not allegation.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
and he should bring evidence
between our president, our deputy president today, Gachagua, paid.
No, Fred, don't allow don't allow bad gossips to get into this channel.
Let's not take that direction.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
don't allow bad gossips to be brought here.
But remember, Chinga, if you are that loud with the questions
yes.
that Nani asked you,
everyone here speaks their mind, but don't allow bad gossip to be brought on this.
Don't worry, we've moved on from that. We've moved on from that.
Let me just go to our bone of contention today. I think it wouldn't be appropriate for us to be discussing about impeaching a deputy president. That is on a fact point of view. We should be discussing on how we are supposed to revolutionize this country, how we are supposed to call these leaders to accountability, how we are supposed to see, you know, people's participating in the policy making this country, how we are supposed to have good governance in this country, how we are supposed to have equity in this country, how we are supposed to have corruption loopholes.
But do you see the possibility of this supermajority, possible supermajority numbers in the national?
Right now, I can tell you,
was a direction.
If that be the case, I can assure you the arithmetics is already full to have him, even these people, to even have another clause being in place to have the deputy president being kicked out of the place. So. Having the ODM nowadays.
Okay, now each of you gets a minute for your final comment. Yeah, 60 seconds.
Okay, now mine would be to congratulate you and actually this station, because they say you don't realize the value of what you have until at some point maybe you may not be having it. I went to one of the vernacular stations recently, and they had there another guy Now I was facing CID. I was being grilled by both the moderator and my fellow panelists, but I think they had connived behind the scenes. And you see, these are very gullible people who would imagine. I've educated one of my sons through the secondary school, through all the way to Form 4 and beyond, and they were imagining now, they were questioning me how much is paid their school fees per year. And I didn't want to answer them because they had placed me in a very bad situation. Now, they imagined this guy is so clueless, he doesn't know how much is paid in a year. I just simply didn't want to participate in the kind of harassment they were taking me through. So I wanted to thank you very much because you are always very sober. This station is very sober. And I want to remind people, in Rwanda, one of the vernacular stations actually participated actively in funding the fires of genocide. So there, I think I needed to let you know you are such a sober arbiter, and this station, even if it have a viewership of 5 people, it's better than a
our numbers are good.
They are good, and they are better than a viewership or listenership of 1,000 people who are just being incited on tribal bigotry.
Okay.
So
I'll say thank you for
that. So personally, I support this government not because I'm a sycophant, but because, friend, I campaigned. Even the seat I hold because I was elected on this government, the party that have formed this government. And my interest, and I've said there is God in heaven, my interest is to serve God through the service I give to his people. Okay. I thank you very much.
60 seconds only, Bonalai.
Thank you so much.
You can thank us as well.
I have to thank you, and I have to appreciate you for growing so well. You know, I've seen the kind of moderations and also the panel which has grown over the years. And so thank you to the team in front and behind the cameras. The other thing is that I would like to ask the MPs to please play their role well, ensure that the members are vetted. You know, the offices, the various offices which are tasked with providing the support to the committee and the National Assembly, can you please provide it without any political leanings and also without any ill will, so that we get proper candidates who can serve this country in the highest policy-making decision platform, policy decision-making platform, which is the cabinet. So, asanteni sana, thank you, and I think that's my all.
Thank you. Bonaparte Koso, you made it.
I want also to appreciate the whole team for TV47. You guys are doing a very credible job, and I want to appreciate again. I feel at home, and I want to give this not as an expert on I want to tell the people in politics, and these are the high-ranked people in this country, that is our President, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, to stop politicking or making politics hitting this country for their own interest, for any political arrangement. And we focus on the interests that were raised by young people and young Kenyans in this country. And then again, I also want to call for young people and people of the like mind who want change in this country not to relent, because once we relent, as Ali said, we are going to lose it big time. So I want to say that it is in a very critical moment of this country, whereby it's either we have the change or not have the change.
Thank you. So
thank you.
Finally, you get to wrap it for us. Wrap it up.
Thank you so much. And I want to tell member for Chinga, you see, media stations are brothers and sisters. You cannot report one media station to the other media station. And I am very sure that maybe just slightly, even the day we shall be grilled with you, the day we shall be grilled with you, you might also come and say that now you see things going as they went. But I want to tell members of this nation that me as Njeri Kahiga today, I would want to wrap it up and simply tell the Deputy President that, when you took over this government, you rubbed it in our faces, those who were in Azimio, how you are now a shareholder, how you are a bigger shareholder, and you made it your business every other day to insult the likes of Kina Uhuru Kenyatta, to insult the likes of Kina Peter Munya, the likes of Kina Keoni, and everybody else.
Likes of Raila.
the likes of Raila, who now is calling shots in your government as member of government, Alai has said. And I want to tell you now, it's our turn for us to rub it in your face. But because I'm a Mount Kenya daughter, we are not going to rub it in your face. And I can tell you for a fact, if you go look for the same people that you rubbed in their faces, they are going to listen to you. Please go reach out to Uhuru Kenyatta, reach out to the likes of Kina Kioni, reach out to the likes of Kina Peter Munya, reach out to the likes of Kina Martha Karua, because I can tell you for a fact, if they decide to boil you, they'll boil you. They decide to deep fry you, you're going to be deep fried. But if you have the support of the big wings, remember for Chinga Goja Bwana, if they decide to fry you up, but if you go look for the same people that you made it your business to rub it in their face, I can assure you that maybe in one or another, we can save you. But until then, bado mapambano.
Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Political Party, PNU. I have no other time. I'll be run out of
There is no time. No, there is no time. No, there is no time, member for Chinga. No. But I can't be mentored by member for Kenya Kwanza.
Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa, and Patrick Asoi, political analyst. Our panelists this morning on State of the Nation. Very interesting conversations happening right here. And you can join us again tomorrow, same time, for more conversations. More coming up after the break with my colleague Stanley Nyaringiti.